if you're suffering from IBS, there is hope. You don't need to continue suffering with this horrible, debilitating condition. And you don't even necessarily need to remain on a very restrictive diet. I'm Jonathan Butler, clinical hypnotherapist, RTT therapist, and I'm going to talk to you about how the IBS that I had disappeared and how I've helped hundreds of other clients to make their IBS go away too. So the sad reality is that so many people are suffering from IBS. It's estimated in the UK, around 2 in 10 people are suffering from IBS at any time. So this is a really, really big issue. And as anybody will know, if you're suffering with it, or you know people are suffering with it, it's incredibly limiting in your lives. And the go-to, if you go to a doctor, if you go to a nutritionist, the go-to is generally going to be to tell you that you need to change your diet. You need to go on some restrictive diet. And the typical one is to go onto a FODMAP diet. That's the typical go-to thing that people will tell you to do. Maybe you've been told to go on some other kind of diet. And these diets do help. They definitely do help because you're cutting out lots of things that your body has become intolerant to. And I say has become intolerant to, that your body is overreacting to. But actually, do you want to be cutting out these things? Is it actually good for you to be cutting out lots of foodstuffs that maybe before, probably most likely before, you had no issue with whatsoever? So going on a FODMAP diet can really help, can give you a lot of your life back, but it's not actually dealing with the root cause, the real reason that you've developed and have still got IBS. So I want to tell you my story. So IBS started for me back in 2014, and I was going through a lot of stress in my life. I was in a very stressful job. I was in a very, very stressful job, and I was having a lot of stress and anxiety in my personal life too. And this is where it all began for me. I started to get lots of stomach pains. I started to get other physical conditions as well. And eventually I plucked up the courage to get over my embarrassment and go to the doctor and ask for help. So I did that. I went to see the doctor, who referred me to a nutritionist. Had my 10-minute appointment with the doctor, asked a few questions, sent me off to see a nutritionist. I went to see the nutritionist, asked me a few questions, told me to go on this FODMAP diet, gave me a leaflet telling me what I needed to do, gave me some diet plans. And it was really effective. Probably within a week, I started to notice that it was being really, really beneficial. Definitely my stomach was less sensitive, and I was actually losing a bit of weight as well, because the stress that I've been suffering on, all that cortisol, had led me to put on weight as well. So actually it was pretty good. It was pretty good. But for me, just dealing with the symptoms, while it was helpful, I knew that wasn't a long-term solution. And I did worry that, could you stay on that diet? And also the impact it was having on my life. Going out was really difficult. Going out to a restaurant was really difficult. Eating at work was really difficult. So actually, it gave me a lot of freedom back, but not the freedom I really wanted to have. I wanted to eat the foods that I'd always been able to eat. I wanted to go out with friends and socialize without worrying about what's on the menu, without being the person who sat there being awkward, asking for things off the menu, eating a salad. I wanted to get my life back. So while the FODMAP helped, what I really wanted to understand was, why had this started? Why has it started? And remember, I told you that it started at this time when I was going through a lot of stress in my life. And I kind of had an inkling, an instinct that this obviously had something to do with it, because when I was more stressed, even on the FODMAP diet, I still noticed that the symptoms would come back when I was going through something stressful. So I'd really noticed that every time stress occurred, the symptoms would get worse. So I kind of had this inkling of why it started, but how did I unpack that? How did I make sense of that? And I was recommended to go and visit a hypnotherapist. And I was like, hypnotherapist? I'm the kind of guy who goes to the doctor. I don't believe in all that sort of stuff. But I thought, well, why not? Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go and see what happens. And it was life-changing for me, that decision to say, I'll give it a go. Let's see what happens. And I learned two things from the hypnotherapy session. I went to see a hypnotherapist, an RTT hypnotherapist, practicing RTT, Marissa Peer's comprehensive approach to hypnotherapy. And a big part of that approach, the RTT hypnotherapy approach, is to say, and is to focus upon dealing with the root cause. Why had I suddenly become intolerant to foods that I'd happily been able to eat for a long time? Why had that suddenly happened? And why had it stayed with me? Why was I stuck in that place? Why was I being told this was probably a permanent condition that I just needed to manage by the diet that I had? So the first thing I learned in that RTT hypnotherapy session was that the root cause of my anxiety, the root cause of my problem of the IBS was actually the stress and anxiety that I was going through. That was what had started all of this. It had started it, and it created this overreaction in my body because my body was on a state of high alert. My mind was on a state of high alert because of the stress that I was in, and the symptoms of that were what was happening in my gut, but also other issues I was getting. I was getting a lot of tightness, stiffness, other symptoms in my body that were related to that anxiety. And now my body and my mind had basically got stuck in this place. They got stuck in this place where I was feeling anxious, and the result of this was the IBS. And so while the FODMAP diet helped relieve those symptoms, it wasn't really a long-term solution. It wasn't the thing I needed to fix. So what I actually needed to do was let go of that anxiety. I needed to be able to persuade my mind that actually I didn't need to hold on to that anxiety because it wasn't helping me. That anxiety was just making everything worse. It was making these physical conditions worse. And it was just keeping my levels of stress at this high level. So I did this session of RTT hypnotherapy, this 2-hour session. And within a month of this, I was free. I was free of IBS. I had no more symptoms. I had no more symptoms. I had no more pain, discomfort in my gut. Actually, a lot of the pain that I was also having in my back and my shoulders disappeared because what the therapist had done was dialed down the anxiety in my body, told my body that it's okay, that it can let go, that I could deal with what was happening with me. It was giving me the resilience, the strength to deal with what was happening in my life and set my body free. So after a month, I was able to go back to eating what I wanted to eat, drinking coffee, all the things I'd been told that I couldn't have. So in short, I got my life back by doing this. So after that 1 month, I was free. I was free. And I have been free ever since. On the very odd occasion, I notice when I am stressed about something, I do feel something in my stomach, but it's nowhere near the severity that it was. I have the odd food, the odd thing, maybe a hot curry or something that my body reacts to, but I think that's really pretty natural. I'm really pretty much free of this all of the time. I don't ever have to worry about where I am going out. I don't have to worry about going out of meetings because I need to run to the toilet. So as a result of this incredible experience for me, I decided to become a hypnotherapist myself. I trained with Marissa Peer to become an RTT hypnotherapist. I worked with Marissa, for Marissa in her in-house therapist team. And I've been working with people dealing with anxiety, dealing with IBS and other similar physical conditions since then, full-time, and I'm one of the most experienced RTT hypnotherapists, I believe, in the world. So since that time, I've been using this successfully to help people who've been in that same position as me to get rapid, lasting results, to put IBS and other physical issues behind them. So if you would like to be free, book a call, free confidential call to discuss if this is the right thing for you, how this could help you. And here is a link also to my website that describes my services, describes more about what I'm telling you about how RTT hypnotherapy can help overcome IBS. And I know that's complicated there, so this is down below. Both of these links, the link to book a call and the link to my website, are down below on the description below. So hope you've enjoyed this video. There is hope. You can overcome IBS. You can become independent of being on a restrictive diet and have your life back. Thanks for listening. I'm Jonathan, and I hope to see you again very soon.